Every single day, we see these incredible new things AI can do, right? From writing code to creating amazing art out of thin air. But behind all that digital magic, there's a massive physical world of infrastructure that we just don't see. So let's pull back the curtain and really dig into the enormous hidden price tag of this AI revolution.
So, what are we talking about in terms of cost? Well, an analysis by Bain and Company has a number, and you might want to sit down for this. To power all of AI's needs, we're looking at an investment of $500 billion for data centers. And here's the kicker. That's not a one-time thing. That's every single year.
Right? That's the $500 billion question. I mean, that number is so huge, it just blows past any government subsidies you could even dream of. This means the private sector has to figure out how to generate unbelievable amounts of new money just to build the physical foundation for the AI tools we're all starting to take for granted.
To really get why the cost is so astronomical, you have to look at the sheer demand. AI's hunger for computing power is growing more than twice as fast as Moore's Law, the old gold standard for tech progress. This isn't just a step up, it's an explosion. We're talking about a demand for power and infrastructure that's completely unlike anything we've ever seen before. But this is where the math starts to feel, well, kind of broken. Bain's analysis shows that even if companies take every single penny of their current IT budgets and add in all the money they save from using AI, they still come up $800 billion short every single year. That's not a gap, that's a canyon.
Okay, so we're talking about mind-boggling amounts of money. But what does that actually mean for the real world, for us? Well, this financial pressure is creating some very real, very tangible consequences. It's putting a visible strain on our energy grids, our water supplies, and believe it or not, even our health. Let's take a look at how this is really playing out.
For a lot of people, this is where it hits home, literally. In Washington, D.C., for example, customers of the utility company Pepco saw their monthly bills jump by an average of $21. And get this, the grid's own independent monitor says that data centers are responsible for about 75% of those rate hikes. So yeah, this isn't some abstract corporate problem, it's showing up in our mailboxes.
And it's not just about electricity. There's another massive resource these data centers are incredibly thirsty for: water. They need enormous amounts of it to keep their servers from, melting. To get a sense of the scale, just look at Texas. By the end of 2025, data centers in that state alone are on track to be guzzling 49 billion gallons of water.
Now, it is really important to put that water usage into perspective. While that sounds like a ton of water, and it is, it's still just a fraction of what some other big industries use. For instance, all the AI data centers around the world use less than 500 million gallons a day. Compare that to industrial animal agriculture, which uses something like 1.5 trillion gallons every day. This doesn't mean AI's water use isn't an issue, but it's crucial for seeing the whole picture.
And there's another hidden cost we have to talk about. To meet this crazy new demand for electricity, old fossil fuel plants that were supposed to be shut down are now being kept running, and that has a very real human cost. The air pollution from this is estimated to cause over $5.4 billion in public health costs, and that burden often hits the communities living right next to these plants the hardest.
So, you gotta ask why. Why the frantic, resource-hungry rush? Well, the answer really boils down to geopolitics. This isn't just about who can build a better chatbot. This is a high-stakes technological and economic race for global dominance, and the two main players are the United States and China. That intense competition is the engine driving all of this.
A key battleground in this whole race is control over the raw materials that go into making semiconductors. And for decades, China has been playing the long game here, strategically setting itself up to be the dominant processor of these critical minerals. For example, it processes roughly 90% of the world's rare earth elements, and it supplies about 95% of the arsenic the U.S. needs for its own chip manufacturing. That creates a huge strategic vulnerability.
If you want to see what this rivalry looks like in the real world, just look at the electric vehicle market. The Alliance for American Manufacturing warned that a flood of cheap, subsidized Chinese EVs could be an extinction-level event for the U.S. auto industry. And what happened? The U.S. responded by slapping a 100% tariff on them. This is the kind of economic warfare that's fueling the whole race for AI supremacy.
All right, so all of this brings us to the biggest challenge of all. How in the world are we actually going to power this future? The path forward, honestly, is really complicated. It's full of paradoxes and some pretty tough choices. There are definitely no easy answers here, but let's at least explore what's on the table.
First, we have to wrap our heads around this really counterintuitive idea from economics called the Jevons paradox. Now you'd think, okay, let's just make AI chips more energy efficient and problem solved. But this theory from the 1800s suggests the exact opposite might happen.
Think about it this way. As the tech gets better, the cost of running an AI query goes way down. And what happens when anything gets cheaper? We use more of it. We find new ways to use it. We run bigger, more complex models. The result is that making AI more efficient can actually lead to an even bigger jump in overall energy consumption. So efficiency by itself isn't the silver bullet we're all hoping for.
So if we can't just efficiency our way out of this, where does the actual power come from? Well, in the short term, say the next 2 to 5 years, the hard engineering reality is that the only thing that can be built fast enough to meet demand is natural gas. Looking further out, the conversation turns to long-term ideas, like small modular nuclear reactors or a massive build-out of solar and wind. But both of those require building brand new infrastructure and supply chains from the ground up.
And this circles us right back to that fundamental question of fairness. As California State Senator Steve Padilla said, while all this is a gateway to incredible innovation, ordinary ratepayers shouldn't have to foot the bill for that innovation. Who pays for the grid upgrades, the new power plants, the environmental fallout? That's a huge debate that's really just getting started.
So here's where we land. The AI revolution is absolutely here, and its potential is incredible. But we've seen that its appetite for real-world resources is just about endless. If making AI better and more efficient only makes us use it more, it forces us to face some really deep, really difficult questions about the trade-offs. The trade-offs between tech progress and its very real, very tangible costs. What's the right balance? That's the question we all need to start asking.